When the masters, you say they send energies through the force centers of the individuals, what kinds of energies are these? Are they from the masters themselves, from a plane or a group? What exactly are they?
Some of them are cosmic. They come from all sorts of cosmic levels. They are stepped down by the Christ, the Lord Maitreya. They go from him to certain masters who step them down further, and then they go to the transmission groups around the world. These are energies of love, equilibrium, organization, power, dynamic power, which will galvanize humanity out of its sloth, its inertia, and so on. It's quite extraordinary, but it all works through it.
What is there about this particular time in history that makes this all work?
Oh, the fact that the Christ has returned to the world and that a very large group of his disciples, the masters, who have been in the mountain and deserts of the world for thousands of years, are themselves returning to the world. Now, this brings them in a much closer relationship to humanity. And so the disciples of the world, because it is the disciples of the world who do transmission meditation, because the disciples are in touch with the soul. And no one would want to do transmission meditation who had not already some kind of contact with their own soul. That's why they want to meditate in the first place.
You mentioned before that this is a transformational process, like an electrical transformer that steps down current.
Yes,
tantamount to saying
it happens to be spiritual current, but it's current, yes.
Why is that necessary? And I ask that not only in terms of the relationship of hierarchy to humanity, but all the other forms of life.
Well, if you handle 250 volts of electricity, it would kill you. If you use a transformer, you can bring it down to, 5-volt little battery and use it perfectly safely. It's the same electricity, but brought down in potency to a safe point. Transmission meditation group is such a kind of transformer. And these great spiritual energies are stepped down to a level where they can actually be used, utilized, absorbed by humanity. Now, humanity is passing them on down through all the kingdoms. The hierarchy is the spiritual kingdom. And we evolve through the downflow of the energy, spiritual energy from hierarchy, and so the human kingdom evolves. From the human kingdom, these energies are passed down to the animal kingdom, from the animal to the vegetable, from the vegetable to the mineral kingdom. So in this process, all of these kingdoms are evolving in response to the spiritual, because that's what it is, impact of these energies from above. And each kingdom grows out of the kingdom below and grows into, by this process, the kingdom above. And at the edge is a radiatory activity, and the shift is through radiation. This increases the radiation of humanity to a point where humanity has been lifted, and great events take place in the world, like the transformation of our political structures, economic, religious, social structures, and at the same time, the groups involved in it are moving out of the strictly human kingdom into the spiritual kingdom, which is the spiritual hierarchy of masters. They're becoming disciples, initiates, eventually masters.
Are there any people who should not do transmission meditation?
Yes, anybody under 12. From 12 to 1200 you can do transmission meditation perfectly safely, unless you are rather unbalanced. If you are physically very ill, it might do you harm, but it could just as equally do you good, because many people receive healing during a transmission meditation. This is a well-known fact. Many people record extraordinary healing process going on during the transmission. But someone who is mentally unbalanced, they should not take part in transmission meditation. They may become just overexcited, the chakras get overstimulated, and it just makes their condition worse. So anybody who is emotionally, under par, unbalanced, should not take part.
Are transmission energies, by their nature, healing, or are healing energies of a different category?
Both.
They're both.
Sometimes simply the outflow of the spiritual energies have such a transformative effect on the individuals taking part in it that they come into correct alignment with themselves, and the healing process is, as a result of that. In other cases, specifically healing energies are sent at the same time to individuals by certain masters. I know my master does this all the time, and these produce the healing process on the physical plane.
I know that in my own experience and those of people I've talked to, sometimes we feel that in any form of meditation, transmission or otherwise, if our minds are very busy with thoughts, we think we're not meditating or transmitting. Is that true?
No, the function of the lower mind, because that's what you're talking about, this mind that's thinking is the lower mind, its function is to think. That's how we measure things. That's how we can make our technology and know to wait for the bus to pass before we walk across the road and so on. All of that thought process is the natural function of the lower mind. And you just leave that alone. You don't try to still it. You don't try to control it. You simply place the attention at the ajna center and you get above its level. It goes on, but you're linked now with the soul, which is beyond thought. You're really going to a point beyond thought. And in that state, the alignment between the brain and the soul takes place, and the transmission flows from that level. That's why it is essential to hold the attention at the ajna center, and not, for instance, let it fall down to the solar plexus. And when it does fall down to the solar plexus, there is a danger of negativity, of mediumship. Now, many people who come into this more esoteric field come from the spiritualistic movements. And they think, in some cases, that this is the same, that a seance is a transmission meditation is a seance. They're absolutely poles apart and should not be confused. And people in that situation are inclined to think that they're getting messages, you know, wonderful teachings coming from the masters or the guides or whomever. Nothing of that kind ever happens in transmission meditation. If people think that it is happening, then they're not doing transmission meditation and they'll be better out of it. They've got some kind of emotional focus, solar plexus focus, they're mediumistic, and they're either giving it to themselves because they want to, or they're in touch with some level of the astral plane and getting it from that level. But nothing like that happens in true transmission meditation. No message is ever sent. No guidance given.
Let me ask you one final question. And that question is, it sounds as though all of this is part of a great plan and that there's real purpose behind it. How long does one have to do this for, and what kind of effects will that have?
Well, the longer you do it, the more effect it will have, and it's a transformative. It will take you to the door of initiation and beyond, and it will last you as a field of service, simple, easy, just by giving up a few hours of your time a week, to the end of this life, and the life after that, and on into infinity. All of the masters are doing transmission meditation at some level, and so is everybody higher than the masters, evolved way up into the cosmos itself. We're living in an energetic universe, and the transference of energy from above to below through some chakras is the nature of our cosmos.